the Laurel, Gary and Mark Classic Conversations podcast with Laurel Edwards, Gary Clare and Mark Hine.
Dun it. Welcome to the House of Fun. I think we're getting better at it.
You think so? I don't know what key I was in.
Let's hope this podcast has a long run so we can just perfect it.
Sorry, what do you mean by key? Hi there. By the way, thank you to our voiceover man, producer Greggles, who's sitting back there.
He's a professional, wasn't he?
Whatever he said, we'd pay him.
We're paying him?
Zero.
I thought you were.
Someone's paying. Anyway, look, we're going to be getting to our interviews today very soon, but let's have a chat quickly about how our weeks were. How was your week?
Oh, not too bad, actually. Not having a regular breakfast job to attend. I think I got out of bed 8:30 every morning, which is pretty cool. Had a coffee, and we've been doing a little bit of fishing of late. Went up the coast and have been catching some flathead and some dart. Troy would say that he's catching the fish, but
what does he know?
Yeah, what
about fishing a lot?
No, it's been fantastic because in that Caloundra Bribie area, because now the bar has moved further down because those big seas sort of washed away what was there on Bribie Island, that little point land. It's now all silted up, and so you can walk to Bribie now.
Oh, wow.
Practically. And it's been fantastic. We just go up there and throw in a few lures and a few we're pumping yabbies. I know we've been
Is that a euphemism?
No, I wish. No, pumping yabbies for some fresh bait.
Good old yabbies.
Troy would wish it was.
By the way, this is a...
My whitefish would like to...
As opposed to a normal radio show, this is a podcast, so anyone could be listening at any time. Don't drown trying to walk if that bar has gone.
No, that's right.
We just want to put that in. It may have disappeared by the time you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah, have a look on Facebook
Laurel
first.
tried to walk to Bribie Island after visiting a bar. We don't recommend it.
Anyway, no, look, the fish are biting. Other than that, we've been playing roadie to the daughter who's now got her own sort of music career.
Jem Casadale.
Jem Casadale. So we've turned up to a couple of gigs in the last couple of weeks, and we've been carrying guitars and keyboards and doing her merch for her.
Oh. I saw her at the Brisbane Lions game. She did a show there. You guys were overseas, and she was down in the green room, and I wandered myself down there because I wanted to. There were a couple of pronunciations, like she's a proud.
Gumbangia and Bunjalung, and Mark goes Bungalang.
Well, all right, I stuffed it up completely.
That's pretty good for him.
You know. Here's the thing: they hire a middle-aged old white guy to do the Indigenous references. I mean, that is silly.
But she's proud to be a Bungalang girl.
Don't. This is embarrassing. All right, Handy Gary, what have you been up to for your week off?
Well, nothing compared to that. Still wandering around with the wife with her broken arm. She's never broken an arm or anything before. I had nothing to do with it.
Pretty much you're both retired now.
Yeah.
And so this was a big deal, wasn't it, when she broke her arm overseas?
Yeah, she slipped on a dock because we were on a boat going through these canals, and it was the second last day, and she was just bang, and she is not going well with it.
Are you getting the comments like, I'd take the bins out, but my arm's broken?
Oh, no.
Is she? So she's still doing all the housework and all the other
she
stuff?
would never do any of that. But her honour would never come up with an excuse.
So she's in a cast.
She is in a cast.
Sponge baths? For you?
For me, no. She still has to put the plastic on.
Okay.
But, she I can't sleep. I said, take a pill. They've given you all these pills. No, I won't do that. I said, I can't help you.
I'd prefer to complain to you about it.
I can't sleep because of the hot flushes. It's nothing to do with a broken arm.
I do know that I will go to bed with the wife, but then I will never wake up with her because she's gone to about 3 or 4 different bedrooms during the evening, and you don't know where you're going to find her.
Oh. What's the old Marilyn Monroe saying? You go to bed with Marilyn.
Oh, no, that Rita Hayworth.
Rita Hayworth.
Yeah, Rita Hayworth said they'd always go to bed with Rita Hayworth and wake up with...
Her real name. Yeah.
What her real name is, yeah. Marilyn. Who hasn't gone to bed with Marilyn?
Look, I've had a pretty uneventful... look, when we finished in radio, I thought our TV died, so I treated myself to a really big screen Sony. It was really amazing.
I'm sorry. So we are officially finished in radio.
Well,
there's a news break.
Well,
and I thought that was cute. Mark said his TV died, my TV career died at the same time.
But anyway, we bought this really brand new TV and it died during the week. So it's only like 10 months old or something like that. So now I've been on the phone to Sony. I spent a full day trying to get them out to fix this TV, which they're coming to do. It's under warranty.
I remember in the 70s as a kid, you'd try and break the black and white TV, because your dad did the same thing to you, didn't they, Mark?
Yeah, it'd be like you'd be watching Countdown.
Yes.
And you'd be going along and they do the top 10 and Dad would just walk in, turn the TV over to
Turn it over.
news.
Yes,
the news.
Yes. Well, we had the little pie TV and it was black and white. And I think we got to 1986 before the colour TV was in the house.
11 years after
it was because
introduced.
Dad said we are not getting another TV. We're not getting colour TV
right.
until the black and white one
Mind you,
dies.
those pies were
They
good.
were very good.
And did it eventually die?
We couldn't break it for the love nor money.
You know, we ended up getting a colour TV, and I swear to God, the screen was about, I don't know, the size of a mobile phone now. And Dad sat it up on the bench. We're all watching colour now.
Oh, remember there was a time there, you're probably too young to remember, but door-to-door salesmen would come around and they'd be selling this thing that you'd put in front of your black and white television.
Oh, like a magnifying
set,
glass.
And, said, and you don't have to buy a colour TV.
Oh.
You just buy this special screen or a mirror, whatever it was called. I never saw it, but I heard it was terrible.
All right. Look, that was our week. So mine was pretty uneventful. Broke a TV. Laurel Leach does stuff during the week.
Well, look, the show is called Laurel, Gary and Mark Classic Conversations, and we have some absolute rippers today.
Absolutely. We're going to get to those. But don't forget, the lgmshow@gmail.com is the place you can send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah, we have some great ones coming up. Now, Laurel, you went along during the week to go and see Jesus Christ Superstar.
That I did. A magnificent production. I saw the one in 92 with John Farnham, John Stevens and Kate Sobrano, Angry Anderson, John Waters. It was an incredible production, but it was at the Entertainment Centre. So we'll talk more about that later. And, of course, the original in Australia with Trevor.
I do remember seeing the original Jesus Christ Superstar. It was at the Bethlehem Festival Hall. And I'm a bit older than you guys.
You're not that old.
Well, that was with
Front
Marsha
row
Hines.
manger, my friend.
With Trevor White, Marsha Hines and John English, and that was fantastic. But I'll tell you more about the latest production.
Yeah, okay. And Handy Gary, we're going to be doing actually another little bit of an interview as well, because one of the classic hits artists that we know and love passed away while we were gone.
Yeah, this was Bobby Sherman. You know, Julie, do you love me? And so many easy come, easy going. We tried for a long time to get Bobby, and he'd sort of gotten away from the entertainment industry. We never actually got him. But we, 6 degrees of separation, got someone he worked with and has a very interesting story about his memories of Bobby Sherman.
Now, last week we mentioned at the end of the show that we were going to have someone on from AC/DC. We have... Well, we'll talk about this after the interview. Founding member, Mark Evans.
Early member
of AC/DC.
Yeah, he was only there for a couple of years, 75 to 77, but he was there for what we would call the greatest years.
TNT album, the Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap album. I think he was there for the Let There Be Rock album as well. Real great album.
Now, this interview that we're about to play comes from 2011. It's about he released a book, which I know, Laurel, you've got a little piece to read from after the interview. Dirty Deeds, My Life Inside/Outside of AC/DC. It was released in America December 2011, so I presume that was around the same time that we recorded this interview. Let's take a listen to it.
Well, that explains why Laurel walked in with a book. I didn't want to ask. I thought, what's going on?
This is super exciting for us. Super exciting indeed. We get to talk to the man who was a bass player with AC/DC in the most important years of AC/DC's career.
The formative years, the highlight.
Yeah, we're big fans of Australian rock and roll, especially from that era. Mark Evans, good morning.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
I do have to say, Mark, to me, you are the bass guitarist for AC/DC. The other guy will always be the new bass guitarist for AC/DC.
There you go. I'm getting my tyres pumped up here. This is wonderful.
And also, too, in my eyes, you were the cutest out of AC/DC.
Oh,
always.
I know that too.
Yeah.
I'm going to come here more often. This is fantastic.
Come on, Malcolm on his day's a looker.
Really?
That's one sentence. I've never heard that one before.
Mark, going back to the beginning, you were a very young lad when you joined AC/DC.
Yeah, at 19, just turned 19. I was the youngest and the tallest in the band.
The tallest?
Yeah, absolutely. And from my stature, I'm not particularly. I'm only 5'6".
I remember we used to have a battle in our house, and I know a lot of other people did, and that was the battle to see Countdown on a Sunday night because it was up against the news. And your dad would walk in and go, put the news on. We'd go, no, please. The first time we saw AC/DC, doing Maybe Please Don't Go. And we're okay with Angus walking out with the boy uniform on, but when Bon Scott walks out with the school dress and the hair in plaits and freckles painted on, and the cigarette, my father just got up and walked out.
That was the first week I was in the band. Did a gig on Thursday night and a Friday night, and then Saturday afternoon. It was filmed on Saturday afternoon live, and then replayed on Sunday night. And that was my first time on television. And I was before it, I was just terrified. Like, oh no, what how am I going to get through this? Because everything was happening so fast. And we were the first band on. The countdown intro rolled that we all kept in our heads. And then the band started off. And then Bon wasn't there. And all the crew's like freaking out. Where is he? So, oh, God. You know. And then I looked to the side of the stage and he was yelling, hey, Mark. You know, I looked over and there was Bon dressed as... And we didn't know he was going to do that. And then if you watch the clip now, Phil and myself are just...
laughing.
Yourself?
We're just laughing. Yeah, you saw what I was going to say then. Very good. Oh, well done. and it was just hysterical because he was side of the stage like flashing his knickers and wobbling his butt.
No.
And, like, he was a rough looking guy, but like dressed up as a school. He was scary, but he was a great guy. He'd do things like that out of the blue, and it was just him being showbiz. Countdown got involved and really pushed the band. Meldrum is his legend says he discovered ABBA. AC/DC, you can add on to that too. Without his input and Countdown's input, I think the story is very, very different.
And the band was fixated, well, I believe anyway, with international success right from the beginning. Did
Absolutely.
a lot of that have to do with the Young Brothers? And with that, I'm including George.
Yeah, absolutely. George had a vision for the band. George went really close with the Easy Beats. There was a number of factors that just fell together. There was George and Harry coming back from England, doing the Alberts thing. They got Angus and Malcolm involved, got to deal with them. Countdown coming on board. And then another very important part that's somewhat sort of forgotten over the years is the management company run by a guy called Michael Browning. He got in and put the infrastructure around the band, and he's very important too. And that all happened, and the lineup consolidated with Phil and myself. So all those things happened within like a 12-week period, and it was just perfect. And then Baby Please Don't Go come out, which strangely enough wasn't the A side of the single, it was the B side. Thankfully 3XY in Melbourne flipped the thing over, because the A side was this schmaltzy thing called Love Song.
Oh, not one of the best.
Oh no, it's a shock. It was a bare-faced attempt at radio airplay, and it sounded like AC/DC doing Air Supply or something. It was atrocious. And if that becomes a hit, it doesn't work.
No.
And the guys down in Melbourne flipped it over, away we went.
Talking about the split, was it a gradual thing? Did you feel it coming, or was it one in particular moment when you thought, well, that's it now?
Oh, well, I had a couple of pointers that was making me feel very uneasy. When the split came, it wasn't necessarily a surprise. It was a shock though.
What was the explanation given to you?
Malcolm came out with a gem. He said, we want to get a bass player who can sing.
They've done a lot with that.
I can see the look on your face. Yeah. Imagine how I felt. Really? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it was a very uncomfortable meeting for a number of obviously for myself, but I know Michael Browning felt odd about it. The night before, Michael went to a meeting with Angus and Malcolm because they wanted to word him up and saying this is what we wanted to do. And at the time, there was around a time where Dirty Deeds had been knocked back by our American record company. So there was a lot of tension because we were getting a lot of chatter back from the States about the vocals. Didn't like the way the vocals sounded. We're not too sure about the production. It's not something we can get on American radio. Michael assumed when he went to the meeting the night before I got sacked, he assumed that the guys were going to make a move and possibly get a new singer, which is preposterous, of course.
Yeah,
but that was his gut feeling at the time.
And where were you when you heard the news of Bon Scott passing away?
I was at home in my house in Randwick, and just a good pal of mine called me up and said, I'm coming around with a bottle of scotch. And I said, well, why? It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you live in the other side of town. He said, well, if you haven't got the radio or television on, I said, he said, oh no, Bon's dead, mate. And I was like, once again, wasn't a surprise, but just a god-awful shock. Yeah, we were close, and we got a lot closer after I left the band because he used to stay at my place.
Mark, we would love to chat all morning. This is just absolutely fascinating, but it is about the book, Dirty Deeds, My Life Inside and Outside of AC/DC. Got to say though, from when my husband and I ran into you at the guitar shop in Sydney, and you were very humble about things then, and when you read the book, you just get I've read a lot of autobiographies about people in music. Yeah. There's no chip on your shoulder about all of this.
Oh,
You've embraced it so well.
My memories of the time, the time I spent with the guys, and the time after the band, I've just got great memories of it. It was a great period of my life.
Oh, it's been fantastic talking this morning. The book is called Dirty Deeds, My Life Inside and Outside of AC/DC. Mark Evans, thank you so much for chatting.
My pleasure.
Well, he doesn't seem too upset about not being with AC/DC for all those years. He's quite reflective of it, isn't he?
He's a very humble guy. Yeah. And that's why, look, back in the day when you would watch Countdown, the young girls, AC/DC were considered a little bit rough for them. Gaz, you would have loved AC/DC. The blokes loved AC/DC.
Bon in a schoolgirl's outfit with a cigarette? No, come on now.
But I do remember always loving Mark Evans. He was always the cute one. And when you read the book, it's really quite fantastic. Actually, I always thought it was a little bit sad how he was sacked from the band, but he always talks about how he sort of deserved it.
Yeah, okay, let's have a listen.
Well, he went to, this is out of his book, Dirty Deeds, and when the whole band with Bon Scott went to England and they were doing some gigs, and everyone knows that, Angus and Malcolm were big on rehearsals. They had to rehearse all the time. So anyway, they were staying in this lovely terrace house in London. And it went sort of like this. He said, this is Mark saying, look, we agreed it would be good to set an afternoon aside and have a bit of a hit out, a rehearsal. Sans Bon, of course, he was joining them later. I decided to have some lunch before we played, so I hoofed on down to the nearby pub. Back soon, I told the guys. I started playing pool at the pub, first with beers and then for $5 a game. And I swear that I could not miss. Pubs were forced to shut their doors at 3 p.m, which was a good time, so I was able to be back at the rehearsal in time, but by then I was truly toasted. As I stumbled back up Lonsdale Road, still a few hundred metres from home, I could hear the guys, and they had started up without me, and they were effing loud. I went into the front room, and Mel, Angus and Phil were giving it a really decent blast. Mel was playing bass.
So he's
that was Mark's instrument. Mel is a killer rhythm player, but he is also a crackerjack bass guitarist. But it did look a tad odd, him playing my Rickenbacker 4001. It was almost as big as him. Look, it didn't affect his playing, though. He was on, playing loud, punchy as F, and totally locked in with Phil and Angus blowing over the top. No one batted an eyelid when I made my unsteady entrance. I decided to settle in, and I got a little comfy area at the bay window. I started enjoying the music momentarily, then I pretty much passed out as the guys were pounding away. And because of my no-show or the state I was in, it was pretty evident that I'd just banged another nail into my own coffin. Yeah. So, look, this is a young kid. It's rite of passage. He's over there. He's in London, and he's gone and had some drinks and gotten drunk. And that was, to Angus and Malcolm, that was like, no go, see you later.
If I remember correctly, I don't think he ever got his bass guitar back. Because he had a whole you'd understand this with Troy and so forth. I got a feeling, because I've read the book and done the interviews as well, pretty sure he never got that back.
Yeah.
And what young man wouldn't go astray when with a rock band looking at you, Stevie Wright? Didn't he, when he was in England? It pretty much was the end of him.
Yeah.
But, look, that's a lovely interview, Mark Evans. A lot of talk about AC/DC coming back to Australia and doing concerts and shows. And a lot of talk about the look of how old they are now.
Look, I think that started out at the start of this big tour, with Brian Johnson back and everything. But it has settled down because a lot of fans came to the defence. Basically, It was the image of Angus. The hat flies off very early in the piece, and he's there doing the punching the sky going, oi, oi, oi. And people were unfair. They were basically saying, look, these old blokes need to get off stage. They need to stop touring. They need to stop doing what they're doing. The interesting thing is no one ever says it to the Rolling Stones.
No, you're right.
No one ever says it to bands
And
like
it's
that.
pretty hard to do that with your Zimmer frame.
Yeah, that's right. He punched the air.
I mean, that's credit.
Here's the thing, though. It's like, if you don't want to go and see AC/DC, no one's twisting your arm to go and see them. Don't just sit there and lob stones at one of possibly the greatest guitarists ever the world has ever seen, Angus Young, who was in the top 10 of great guitarists.
And not forgetting all those incredible riffs that Malcolm would lock in as a rhythm player. They are known for these great rock anthems with the riffs. And
Go away, learn something, do something great for the world, and then you might even have a right to criticise, but you probably won't because you know how much hard work goes into being someone like Angus Young.
Well, look, no matter what they say,
Yeah.
it's not affecting ticket sales.
No.
I mean, I think it's a lot of people know now. Ticketek have said that it was a record-breaking day when they first went on sale, driven by unprecedented demand for their tour. Over 320,000 tickets were sold. This is across multiple cities, making it the biggest concert on sale day in Ticketek's 40-plus year history.
Wow.
They eclipsed a band's 2009 record called AC/DC. Right. So
A little band called AC/DC.
Fine.
so they've eclipsed their own record.
Yep.
I mean, see, the
What a
demand is
phenomenal
there.
band.
Yeah.
Just absolutely phenomenal. I went and saw AC/DC once. My ears are still bleeding from that.
That's right, we went.
We went together.
We walked
I even
out.
had earplugs.
Mark and I came out and Mark goes, my ears, I can't hear anything. I'm deaf.
Well, you and I saw them at Laurel.
Yes,
we
we
saw
saw
them at Festival Hall. So
Yes.
this was, I never got to see Bond live, which was...
No, either did
This
I.
was their first tour with Brian.
Yes.
And Festival Hall, when you think of it, is not a big place.
No, and I also saw them twice at the Entertainment Centre. And once again, well, I think the loudest 5 concerts I've ever seen, other than the Black Crows, was AC/DC.
I went down a little rabbit hole in YouTube of looking at Bond videos of him on Countdown doing the schoolgirl dress thing. That's obviously quite out there. I found the one of his interview with Molly Meldrum. He's a very, very interesting person to listen to.
quite
And just to
articulate.
watch,
Yeah.
but to watch him move and talk, and it's a really fascinating thing. And I encourage everyone to go down that YouTube rabbit hole of looking up Bon Scott interviews.
And if you think that Mark Evans was only in the band for a couple of years, have a read of Dirty Deeds, his book, My Life Inside and Outside of AC/DC. There's a very interesting photograph of a letter written to a fan from Bon Scott on hotel letterhead.
Okay.
And I can't even repeat it here.
Okay. All right. We'll leave that one for listeners to.
In other words, he can't wait to see her when he gets back to that town.
Okay.
Right.
All right, well, that's the AC/DC part of the show, but we lost a classic hits artist, Bobby Sherman, recently. We're going to get to that in just a moment.
Yes, but interestingly, why are we talking to Hutch from Starsky and Hutch, the wonderful David Soul?
Surprising connection.
The Laurel Gary and Mark Classic Conversations podcast, powered by SAE University College, leaders in creative media and technology.
Very sad to hear the news of a classic hits artist passing away.
Yeah, Bobby Sherman, for about a 4-year period there, about 68 through to about 72, he was one of the real pop idols. Before David Cassidy, before Donny Osmond, he was really a huge superstar. Julie, Do You Love Me? Easy Come, Easy Go. Some really top pop songs. And, I just heard a little while ago that he passed away. I think he was in his 80s.
81 he was. I must admit, when I Brent James told me the news, and then I passed it on to Gary, and I said, oh, it's so sad, Bobby Sherman. Gary gets back with Easy Come, Easy Go. That was very emotional of you.
That's a bit harsh.
I'm a very warm guy.
You're a touching guy. Look, probably not so much in Australia because in the US he was absolutely massive. As you say, just before David Cassidy, I read David Cassidy's book. David Cassidy tried to make out that Bobby Sherman was very, very jealous of him taking over the mantle of being the number one puka shell and no shirt wearing on the front of Tiger Beat. And he no qualms about it. David Cassidy had a bit of an ego and he really wanted to say that he was a much bigger star. But it was interesting watching the episode after I knew that on The Partridge Family, where Bobby Sherman makes a guest appearance on the show, being a bit of an interest of Shirley, the mum. And you can see, a little bit of tension there, that there was a bit of squabble going on. But
Well, that was a pilot for a possible Bobby Sherman show. It didn't come off, but that's what that one was.
Like a spin-off.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that would have been big. But, a huge star. And we've got a bit of a connection here.
Yeah, we do. The show is called Laurel Gary and Mark's Classic Conversations, but we don't have a conversation with Bobby Sherman.
No, because we did try to get Bobby Sherman for many years, but he did walk away from the industry and was a little hard to get. And I started thinking, I'm sure we talked about Bobby. David Soul.
Why David Soul?
From Starsky and Hutch. Well, David Soul and Bobby Sherman were in a show in the late 60s. I think it ran for about 2 seasons called Here Come the Brides. All right, so they knew each other. So when we got David, I thought, oh, not going to miss this opportunity. Got to ask him about Bobby Sherman. But I got to say, I was a bit surprised about the connection.
Well, I married his ex-wife, so I guess I do have some memories of him. But we, became friends after, Yeah, I mean, we were never close. Bobby was kind of, Bobby was okay, but he was all right. He was kind of, how should I say? He was a sort of a manufactured. He was one of the very first manufactured acts. He had a real machine going for him. They plotted their way to fame and fortune and seeing the face on the magazines and that kind of thing. But Bobby's a decent guy. He's still out in California, and he's been working as a rescue operation works for the Highway Patrol and things like that. He's quite an interesting character, actually, Bobby. I only got to know him well, after the show was over, because he kind of kept to himself during the show.
Well, there's David Soul, Laurel Gary and Mark, Classic Conversations, talking about Bobby Sherman. Let me get that right. Bobby Sherman married David Soul's ex-wife.
No, David married
Soul.
Bobby's ex-wife.
And
hang on, did David marry Bobby? I don't know.
And apparently they were okay friends after that. But what a lovely guy, though. Gary, you mentioned that we tried to get him for our Idols segment on 4KQ. We could not track him down. And there was good reason for that. He walked away from his fame as being an absolute idol of TV and song, becoming a certified medical emergency technician and instructor for the LAPD. And David Soul did touch on that there about what he did do. But you know what? He donated his salary and was honoured for his dedication, receiving awards from the LAPD, the FBI, and the Los Angeles County Reserve Foundation. He also served as a reserve deputy sheriff and was known for helping deliver babies in emergency situations. So whenever someone was having a baby and they thought, well, I'm not going to get to hospital in time, let's call Bobby Sherman.
Back in his Pop Idol days, he was known for conceiving them.
That may or may not be true.
Allegedly.
Thank you for that. We're going to take a little break here, but come back in just a moment. Now, Loz, you went and saw something pretty special this week.
Yeah, the Australian production, the latest production of Jesus Christ Superstar. Quite an amazing show, but it made me think about the past productions that we've had of Jesus Christ Superstar, and I can tell you the past member of the crew, of the cast, that I was totally starstruck by when I met them.
The Laurel, Gary and Mark Classic Conversations podcast. Get off the digital treadmill and run better digital with Margin Media.
This is the Laurel, Gary and Mark Classic Conversations podcast. We've been playing some great interviews and we will continue doing that each week, some of the great ones in our history. But Laurel, you did something recently. You just went off and saw a great show.
Yeah, a fantastic show, Jesus Christ Superstar, the latest Australian production.
Back again.
It's
Who
back.
would have thought the second coming? Well, actually, this is probably about the 10th coming.
Well, Gary, I'm so glad you're here in this podcast because it's the Andrew Lloyd Webber, Tim Rice production. Incredible, but not having a great understanding of Jesus's life and what happened around him.
Didn't you kill the Pope at one stage?
Yeah, you did. Actually, Laurel did.
Yeah.
I did.
That's for another day.
Okay.
Let this one have a bit of a run.
In fairness, he passed away 20 minutes later after my announcement. But in saying that, this is a great production, but I did go to Sunday school, but I never really knew the story. And it can be quite quite complex if you're not used to where Judas comes into it and Herod and all of that. But it is a wonderful musical. The music alone is fantastic, and it always takes me back to some great memories of Jesus Christ Superstar. In 1972, I was too young to go and see it live, but the Harry M. Miller produced production. It was quite fantastic. Trevor White, a very new Trevor White, very young, and I think he got the role. He was a good singer, but not the greatest of singers for that role. But
He looked
like what we thought Jesus looked like, which was the long hair and the little wispy mo and the little goatee. John English was incredible as Judas. He just had that angst and that anger and that incredible darkness and that really rough voice. And a 16-year-old Marsha Hines, straight from Boston. She played Mary Magdalene. And when you have a look at the program, I managed to find it in an op shop of the 72 version, and you have a look at the cast members. You go into the chorus, and there are people there like Doug Parkinson, Russell Morris, Cheetah.
Oh, Lindsay and
Chrissy
Hammond, yes.
Unbelievable. Air Supply formed from that production because you had Russell Hitchcock, the guy Paul, and also
that's right, the third member.
And Graham Russell.
Yes.
They got together and said, listen, after this, let's form a band. Air Supply came out of that, which was amazing. And then in 92, there were not too many Australians didn't go and see the incredible sold-out Entertainment Centre production. And it was done sort of in the round with these incredible catwalks that came out from the side and stages that would rise up and go down with hydraulics, etc. Of course, we're talking John Farnham as Jesus, Kate Soprano as Mary Magdalene, and John Stevens, who was fairly fresh on the scene, who played an incredible Judas. John Waters was Pontius Pilate, and Angry Anderson Herod. He ran around with his little baldy head and screamed a lot, but it was a good production.
Screamed during my favourite song, but anyway, that's beside the point.
And that brings us to a Jesus Christ Superstar that is currently going around Australia. Michael Painter, what a star this guy is. I've loved him ever since I saw him. I think it was back in 2013 or something. He was on The Voice, and I thought, that guy is quite amazing. He did some songs with the Veronicas. He now has a company called M Squared, and he's writing hits for so many people across Australia. He's written the latest single for Jem Casadale.
Oh,
really?
Yes.
We snuck that one in.
Jem, Kiss Me Like You're Leaving. And the beautiful Mahalia Barnes, who is just phenomenal. Jimmy Barnes' daughter, of course. And I did capture a really special moment between those two, because when we were in the Maldives last year and we were doing Music in Paradise, Troy Casadale was doing it with Ian Moss. There was Kate Soprano performing. Jimmy couldn't make it because he had to have his operation done.
Right,
but Mahalia performed with her band. But there was this very special moment. It had just been announced that Mahalia would be playing Mary Magdalene. Of course, Kate Soprano joins her on stage, and they did Everything All Right. Everything's All Right. It gave us chills, and I managed to capture it. It was sort of like passing the baton or the mic.
And we wanted to see well tonight. Let the world turn without you tonight. If we try, we'll get by, so forget all about it tonight. So, yes, everything's fine. Surely you're not saying we have the resources to save the poor from their lives. There will be poets, pathetically strong. Look at the good things you've got.
Oh, that was amazing. And you recorded that on your phone when you were over in the Maldives.
In the Maldives. And of course, Mahalia Barnes had just been announced as playing Mary, and so it was lovely to
Mary
see.
Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene, I should say. There is another Mary.
Who had a little bit to do with it.
She's a famous religious Mary.
It's another immaculate conception we can talk about later.
We'll have to get the sock puppets out again.
Would be a bit weird because Jesus was with Mary Magdalene.
When we say with, I mean, she washed his feet a couple of times.
Okay.
Who hasn't had that relationship?
She anointed his head.
We have a whiteboard and a protractor, and we will set it all out for
And
you.
a burning crucifix, just for you.
All right. Look, Loz, now you mentioned...
Herod, played by Reuben Kaye. It is so spectacular. We are talking, he's dressed very Frankenfurter-esque.
This is walk across my swimming pool.
It is quite amazing with a glitter codpiece.
Oh,
hello.
And when he throws off the glitter cape,
Yep.
put it this way, when he first walks down the cross and it comes towards the front, all I could think of was Tim Curry. It is Tim Curry to a T. He is magnificent. He's a wonderful performer.
so basically he plays it so different to the way Angry Anderson played it.
Very, very different.
You mentioned a moment ago the past superstar, Jesus Christ superstar that you were struck by. Who was that?
Yeah, you'd think it'd be John Stevens, John Farnham, someone like that.
John English.
John English. It was actually, I had been starstruck by all of those, but I was at the Christmas Carols in Melbourne. Troy was performing, and I walked into the little cafeteria and just getting a little bit of food, looked around. Trevor White standing behind me.
There he was eating some loaves and fishes.
Jesus. I said to
Which
him...
they served at the cafeteria.
I said to him, before that I said, I cannot believe I'm meeting you, Trevor.
Wow.
And he said, you remember that? And I said, I do. And I remember seeing you on Countdown with your solo career. I was really starstruck, and I handed him my bottle of water and said, could you turn this into wine? He refused. He said he's working at the moment.
Only
He
for
couldn't
true
do
believers.
All right. Well, that wraps up our show. I suppose there's only one question left, and that is, where do you get one of those glitter cod pieces from?
it. Let me call Reuben Kaye.
Okay,
and
no
I
worries.
will find
Because I...
And get some fur on the inside, just a little tip. Or you will have.
All right. Yes. Now, didn't someone have an incident with a bath bomb once?
Yes, that's for another day.
That's for another day. All right. Look, we could talk for hours.
Yeah,
but
I think it's probably best we wrap.
It is the Laurel Gary and Mark Classic Conversations podcast. Let's do a quick tease for next week. Got a very special guest.
Yeah, something about AI that is really annoying me, and that is every day I open up my phone up, and there's a poster saying Fleetwood Mac are reforming, and they've got images there.
Wow.
It's fake.
Oh.
All of it's fake, but someone who is definitely touring at the moment is the wonderful Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, look, we have an interview that we only played about 4 minutes out of, and it goes something like 12 minutes. There's a lot in there, and it's never been heard before. Really interesting. So that coming up next week on the Laurel Gary and Mark Classic Conversations podcast. Once again, contact us at thelgmshow@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us maybe some artists that you'd heard on our show that you'd like to hear us do again. That would be really great. We will see you next week. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Laurel, Gary and Mark Classic Conversations podcast with Laurel Edwards, Gary Clare and Mark Hine.